Welcome to Maths with EJD. In this video, I'll be talking about evolutionary game theory and evolutionarily stable strategies. So this will be a kind of sub-series under the game theory series. So the next two, three videos will be about evolutionary game theory. So let's go ahead with this. Now the question is, what is evolutionary game theory for starters? Evolutionary game theory. Okay. Evolutionary game theory going forward, I'll just call that EGT. Evolutionary game theory or EGT applies the concept, applies the concept of game theory to biological populations. Of course, evolution is a biological concept. It's one of the most important concepts in biology. So when we bring that into game theory, we have evolutionary game theory, and it is the application of the concept of game theory to biological populations. So it models interactions between individuals where strategies are chosen based on the payoff of those interactions. Okay. The idea is to find strategies that maximize fitness, where fitness means reproductive success in an evolutionary context. Okay, now let's look at the ideas associated with this. First of all, we have the idea of payoff matrix. Payoff matrix that has been mentioned already, but in the context of evolutionary game theory, EGT, so the payoff matrix is a table used to represent the outcomes of interactions between different strategies. Payoffs correspond payoffs correspond to reproductive success or fitness. Then we talk about strategy. Of course, the basic idea of game theory is that you have players, the players have strategies, and using their strategies, they get certain payoff. That's the summary of uh game theory. So the strategy in this case will be a behavior or tactic that an individual adopts in a given situation. So, for instance, you have some animals that withdraw into their shells when they sense danger. You have plants that close up when touched and things like that. So, those are some kind of, you can consider this as some kind of strategies. So, that's the fundamental thing about evolutionary game theory, applying game theory to biological populations. Now, let's talk about evolutionarily stable strategies. Evolutionarily stable strategies. That's ESS for short, right? And evolutionarily stable strategy, strategy, or ESS is one that, if adopted by the majority, if adopted by the majority of the population, cannot be invaded, cannot be invaded by a rare mutant strategy. So you can see it as a dominant strategy, basically. That's the summary of that. You can see it as a dominant strategy. So let's look at a kind of, say, mathematical definition, if you like. Um, so definition of ESS. So evolutionarily stable strategy. So we say a strategy S is an evolutionarily stable strategy if for any alternative, if for any alternative strategy T, okay, the expected payoff for strategy S is actually greater than the expected strategy if you introduce T into the situation. So, or we can say that um or we can say E, the expected value of S comma S is equal to the expected value of T comma S, and expected value of S comma T is greater than the expected value of T comma T. Something like this. So we say where expected E of SS, right, is the payoff, is the payoff when is the payoff when two individuals using strategy S interact, and so on. So, I mean, to unpack this, right, it means that this is the expected payoff when two players using strategy S interact. And this is actually the payoff when two players interact, where the first player is using strategy T and the second player is using strategy S. And the expected payoff for the two of them using strategy S is actually greater than the expected payoff when when the first player uses strategy T and the second uses strategy S. Okay. So that shows actually that strategy S is the dominant strategy. That's why it is said to be evolutionarily stable strategy. Okay. Or in the other context, right? Uh, the expected value, the expected value when the two players use strategy S is either equal to the expected value, is both equal to the expected value when the first player is using strategy C and the second player is using strategy S, and at the same time, the expected value when the first player is using strategy S and the second is using T is actually greater than when both of them are using strategy T. So, but I think this is very easy to understand that once one of them is using a different strategy from S, then the expected value is less than when both of them use strategy S, which is said to be evolutionarily said to be the evolutionarily stable strategy. Okay. Now, let's see some example of this. Um, let's see an example. I think this is the most popular example we've been using since we started game theory, and that is the prisoner's dilemma. So consider two strategies in a population. In a population, consider two strategies in a population, and the strategies are to cooperate. This reminds us of prisoner's dilemma, and the other strategy is to defect, which is D, and that is in a simple game. Okay, so see that you have cooperate, defect. You also have cooperate, defect. Okay, this kind of situation now, of course, this is like player one, this is player two, and so when they both cooperate, right, you have 3-3. When one person cooperates, when player one cooperates and player two defects, that is, player one gets 0 and the defector gets 5. Then when player one defects and player two cooperates, player one gets 5 and player two gets 0. And if they both defect, they both have 1 point each. Okay. So this is the concept right here. So we have that kind of payoff matrix. Now, let's consider the payoff calculation. How does this pan out? Payoff calculation. Okay. If all individuals use strategy C, that is, both players use strategy C, that is, they both cooperate, they all get a payoff of 3. However, if one individual defects while the other cooperates, the defector gets 5 and the cooperator gets 0. So that is how it goes. So as you can see, when they both cooperate, they get 3 points each. When one defects and the other cooperates, they get 0-5-0-5. So whoever defects gets 5. Whoever cooperates in that situation when the other person defects actually gets 0. So the other place is when both of them defect and they get 1 each. So, but how do we determine the evolutionarily stable strategy in this case? Okay. Evolutionarily stable strategy determination from this scenario, what would that really be? So, to determine if strategy C is the evolutionarily stable strategy. So we have to check if it satisfies the ESS condition. In this case, we find that defecting, which is D, cannot invade. Defecting cannot invade cooperation. Defecting cannot invade the cooperative strategy. Okay, that's the C strategy now. D cannot invade the C strategy because the payoff of cooperating with another, the payoff of cooperating with another cooperator, which is 3, right, is actually greater. It's greater than defecting, which is 0. And the game cannot be invaded by D. Okay. So in this case, we see that, so I mean, the summary of all this story is just to tell us that the expected payoff for both cooperating is actually 3, 3. Then we have the expected payoff of one cooperating, the other defecting. That is 0, 5. The defector gets a high point. Then the expected payoff for defecting cooperation, the defector gets 5, the cooperator gets 0. And the expected payoff for both defecting is actually 1, 1. So if you look at it, the evolutionarily stable strategy will definitely be that one that assures both parties of the best value. So when one defects and the other cooperates, right? One person is greedy and the person gets 5 points. But I mean, we want a situation where everybody is happy. And so it's better to both get 3 than one person getting 5 and the other person losing, or both of them getting 1, 1 by just defecting. So we can see that so in all cooperation, which is C, is the evolutionarily stable strategy. Is the evolutionarily stable strategy. So because because it guarantees all players the best payoff at the same time. Okay. So that's how that has been, talking about the evolutionary game theory and evolutionarily stable strategy. All right. Thank you for coming along so far in this. I'll stop here for now. In the next video, I'll be talking about still on evolutionary game theory. I'll be talking about the hawk dove game and its implications. So watch out for that. Hit the notification bell if you have not done that already. I mean, subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't done that already, so you don't miss out on any other video that comes after now. Also, comment to let me know if you want me to teach a topic or solve a problem. Then, of course, you want to like and share so that more people can have access to this great content. Till I come your way again, keep playing the game of life with wisdom. Bye.